Best of r/confessions episode 4. Subscribe for Reddit videos daily. I made an Uber driver think we were about to rob him. This happened a little while ago, so my recollection is a little hazy. It was 3 of us all heading home from a party. We had planned to walk home through the woods, but it had gotten dark and we were tired. I had only smoked some bud and dropped a tab. I had began to sober up though and was looking to be the trip sitter like usual, while one friend was on an average to low dose of cremedrin, pracyclidine, and acid, while the other friend was on acid and had smoked a lot of bud. I could tell the other two were too high to walk home, so I called up my brother to give me a lift home. After a short wait he proceeds to pull up and we get in and we're pulling off, and I suddenly realize I don't know this guy. Never met him before. Still tripping a little, I panic and start messaging my friends that I have no idea how driving. My friend on just acid MSGs me back saying, face with tears of joy, WTF, and then wait, what? We messaging each other saying we should just bail out the moving car, with the acid helping to increase the tension and overwhelm us with paranoia. I keep making eye contact with the driver in the mirror and I'm getting really anxious. I also message my other friend, not expecting him to be able to read/understand my message, as he's too high. We think this is a full-on kidnapping and I'm about to call my brother when the driver suddenly says, look, I don't have any cash and I want no trouble. This where my friend on cremedrin says, look mate, a lot of us are broke but we don't start kidnapping people, and at that point I see my friend, the one on cremedrin, has a knife out, which had alarmed the driver. Don't worry, we don't generally carry knives, it's just one on his keys. The driver is just straight up confused here and is not sure what's going on, and the sober part of me tells me we might be jumping the gun. So I ask who he is. He responds with something about us being crazy and that he's an Uber driver. I continue to grab the knife off my friend, who is still holding it, unable to follow what's going on. Turns out my brother had asked an Uber driver he knew reasonably well to pick us up and told him where to drop us off, and he also said that he would cover payment when he next uses the guy, but I guess he didn't understand that due to a language barrier. He did text me all this but I didn't see, as I only use Snapchat really. We've nearly arrived and I've phoned my brother and cleared things up. So how much do I owe you then, mate? To fully become the worst customer ever, I realize I don't have my wallet. I tell him this and the cheeky bastard asks for my Louis Vuitton belt. It was only like a £20 journey. Then he says, what about my watch? Not interested in him going through every item of clothing. I take off my belt on the agreement that when my brother pays him he'll give it back. We get out the car and my friend, the cremedrin one of course, says I am fucked. Swear down, I just imagined that we were getting kidnapped and I pulled a knife out and shit. I hand him back the knife and say good night. So I'm very sorry for frightening an innocent Uber driver. I got my belt back and I now read all my text MSGs. I also know not to accuse Uber drivers of being kidnappers, but in all fairness, who doesn't greet their customers? Actually, we probably just didn't hear him. Looking back on it, I don't think kidnappers generally just pull up in the hope a load of people will just jump in. BTW, in case you don't know cremedrin, pracyclidine. It's a drug used to treat Parkinson's and can be obtained with an online prescription. It's a popular drug in my area and especially amongst my friends. It induces delirium but is much funner than delirium from DPH, Datura, etc. due to it producing euphoria. That being said, it's still pretty dangerous to be delirious and it has a dangerously long duration. Here's 2 trip reports if you're curious. https://org/experiences/exp, php, ID equals 5515 and https://org/experiences/exp, php, ID equals 20305. Thank you. Next. I've been seriously considering completely starting a new life alone, new identity and all. I don't know if it's too dramatic Hollywood or I'm going crazy because of the pandemic, but I hate my life and I want to change it. I'm in an emotionally abusive marriage that everyone sees as perfect. My family are also abusive, so I can't turn to them. Can't even turn to my friends because they're friends with my husband too. Been realizing my normal meter is broken and now I just want to start over and be on my own. Thank you. Next. I, 16F. Cannot stand my stepsister, 19F, and I think I'm going insane. When I met her I was 12 and she was 15. She's always been smarter than me, and not too long after my dad and I moved in with my stepmom and her family, it became very clear that she was the favorite child. She has one older brother, currently 21 years old. She goes to uni and constantly talks about how good her grades are, and whenever she gets a grade that's like a 7.0 out of 10, she's like, I could have done better, I wish I had a better grade, etc. She gets praised for how smart she is, and it makes me feel insanely dumb. I don't even feel like I can be proud for graduating HS because she's so much smarter than I am. Another thing I noticed is that, I think, she tries to copy me in a way of picking up habits or hobbies, but then tries to do it slightly better. For instance, I bought a new phone, Samsung Galaxy S8. A few months later she buys the S9. I own a DSLR camera that my aunt gifted me because I love taking pictures. She buys a DSLR camera with way better features than mine has, and proceeds to use it once or twice. My grandparents gift me and my cousins a laptop. She buys that exact same laptop, but again with better features, etc. For what I'm about to say, you have to understand the Dutch school system. If you don't understand this, you can skip it if you want to. She did VWO and is now in her first year of uni. I did 2 years of HAVO, but because of multiple reasons, mostly mental health, I chose to continue school on MAVO, which I just graduated from. After summer I'm going to an MBO for 3 years, and then HBO for 4. Her brother also did MAVO, then MBO, and I think he's in his first year of HBO now. One time when she was mad at her brother, I was still doing HAVO at the time and he was doing MBO. She told him off and said things like how he could never get anywhere in life with an MBO and basically how she's really smart and he isn't and blah blah. I already knew that I was gonna go to MAVO the next year, so that made me feel really insecure. She also keeps saying how my dad isn't smart and how she's really glad she isn't on his level or whatever the fuck she said. It basically indicated that my dad allegedly is dumb. But my dad being my dad, he didn't care and laughed it off, because she is suddenly also his favorite child, which is quite painful for me because I used to be an only child and growing up, my dad was my hero and I was always daddy's little girl. So basically I feel like my stepsister is constantly trying to be better than me just so she can get her way, and so she gets all the attention there is to give. She is always whining and never has anything positive to say about others. It annoys the living shit out of me, and sometimes I even wish that back when I was genuinely considering suicide, I would have gone through with it. Even though I am someone who is extremely hopeful for the future and I can't wait to accomplish certain things. I hope this made sense. IDK. I just really had to get it off my chest because oh my god, I cannot stand that kid. I hope she doesn't have Reddit, but if she does and sees this, go fuck yourself. Thank you. Next. I bet my boyfriend is embarrassed about me. I have depression and hate myself extremely. He asked me how I was doing in the middle of an episode and I lashed out at him, calling myself retarded and that all I want to do is blow my brains out with a shotgun. I've done it before and apologized, but now I feel like there's no point. He doesn't understand how I feel and that I'm a retarded freak. It's not like I'm getting better, even when I'm taking antidepressants and going to therapy. I think somebody needs to kill me. I feel extremely guilty, and the fact he sticks around despite me being what I am makes me feel like I'm being horribly abusive to him. He just wants to help and all I've done is rant and rave how I want to die. He doesn't deserve me. Nobody does. Thank you. Next. My anti-vaxxer aunt and uncle have an autistic son. I feel guilty thinking that this is a sort of karma for them. They think vaccines cause autism and now their youngest son has been diagnosed with autism, and I can't help but feel that it's sort of what they deserve. I feel bad for the kid with them as parents. Thank you. Next. The person who molested me died today. The title says it all. The man that molested me died today. I am in a state of guilt for feeling so much relief over his death. But there it is anyway. I've said it and I cannot take it back. Even years after I confessed this to my family and he was basically removed from my life, I still lived with a small part of my brain wondering if he would be around a corner or somehow continue to hurt me as an adult. In any case, I was hoping to share this seemingly good news with someone somewhere and find some solidarity, as I feel so many lonely feelings right now. Thanks. Thank you. Next. Chicken comes from a bird. Turkey comes from a bird. And when I was a little kid, I thought there was bird called a ham. I thought a lot of dumb things like that as a kid.